we're here with Mr. Smith, Mr. Smethhead. How you doing?
Good. I'm actually pulling you up on my. I gotcha. Cool. Doing good. So you watched my video and you wanted to talk
I
about it.
did.
All right.
I did.
So this will be the first conversation I've had about my video with the person that has actually watched it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've talked to President Sunday and Ika, and they were very, they were pleasant enough, and he had a lot of nice things to say about my editing, but he only watched the first 8 minutes.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of typical President Sunday, though. I'm not gonna lie. Like that is like he does shit like that all the time.
I'm
He'll
happy with the compliments he gave me about my editing and stuff, though.
the editing is good. I agree with that. But like literally, he'll make broad like statements about shit that he has no fucking idea what he's talking about. You know what I mean? And like a lot of his criticisms of you, man, I made notes. I made notes about the President Sunday discussion because I watched that today. So before we get into that, I just wanted to say thank you for coming on.
I don't want to rip too much into him, but I do want
I
to point.
do, though.
I personally, I don't want to do too much of that, but that interview, he didn't watch the actual video, so he watched a bit of it, and I'm glad he liked the editing, but he says he just doesn't like that I made it. And it's like people. He didn't want to talk to Max about what was in the article because it's old news. He didn't want to talk to me about it. The only thing he wants to talk about is not talking about. I don't fucking know. I don't. Anyway,
yeah, I don't really. I feel like his motivation is more to do with being anti-Max rather than anything else. Like, I don't think I think he actually shares the opinion that Destiny is some kind of abuser. He's actually made videos alluding to this kind of idea. I checked on his YouTube today. He has still a bunch of videos about Destiny.
A lot of his videos about Destiny,
kind of
he's saying Destiny's like now alt-right or something like that.
He's made videos alluding to Destiny's gaslighting techniques. He's made videos about Destiny. He's had I don't think he's used the word actual abuse in the titles, but they kind of allude to the fact that he is being abusive, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff like that. So it's not like he's unaware. And he even said it when he was talking to you. Like he was like, yeah, everyone knows it's part of his brand and blah blah blah.
But it's almost not part of his brand, though. It is not part of his brand.
I wouldn't say so, but like I would say that people know him to be. They know him to blow up and have a temper. I think that they know that about Destiny. They kind of come to Destiny for that because they want to see him like go off on somebody or whatever. Yeah. But I don't think that they formulate it as like being an abusive thing.
No, he brands himself as being a really like moral and like good guy. But I think I would be so much more comfortable with like everything he does if he just was branding himself as like a toxic asshole. And when he wouldn't if he didn't defend shit like saying that it's okay to like kill the DDoS kid or it's okay to like dox people and shit. If he said like I'm actually being like a piece of, you shouldn't do this, but I'm doing it and it's not illegal. I mean, and it's good, like if he was honest about that, then it'd be like I would enjoy it. I would literally enjoy watching that.
I guess because he's owning his shit. I suppose it's like because he's not particularly owning that exactly, it kind of feels weaselly. So then it feels like
it makes me uncomfortable because he's teaching everybody to do that as if it's a good way to be, like as if they're being good people by doing that, and
or it's just socially acceptable. Yeah. So I know what you mean. Like he's kind of normalizing shitty behavior essentially.
Yeah, like Filthy Frank was never trying to tell people like being Filthy Frank is good, Yeah,
okay. I get you. Yeah, exactly. It was like the whole presumption of it was that this is ridiculous and over the top and shouldn't be, Yeah. So I guess we won't go into all my notes about President Sunday then, which there are many.
Well, you can try, but I mean, it might not. I don't want to. I just don't like.
Okay, I don't want to rip into him, but what I will say is that he annoyed me. Okay, let's put it this way. He annoyed me a few times in that conversation. And the reason is because, there was a few reasons. he kind of presumed that he could tell you how to be a content creator, and I find that really arrogant. Like, I hate when people do things like that. Like, he's not your dad. He's not fucking. He's not your manager. He's not. You know what I mean? He has no place in your life to tell you what content you should be making or what you should be doing. And I just really didn't like that tone personally.
I know what tone you're talking about, and I've gotten that tone a lot. I don't think it's like you telling me that I shouldn't make this video, but then like this video in like first like for my channel size, it's like really like a lot of views, and so it's
that was one of my notes. That was one of my notes because
it's like, so you're telling me I shouldn't do this, but like, you know, I don't know. I think that every time I do something worth doing, people tell me I shouldn't be doing it. So.
Yeah, no, never listen to them. I think your gut instincts are correct because this is literally the note I put in quotes. He thinks the ship has sailed. Meanwhile, you've got close to 4K views in 24 hours.
Yeah, which is nothing for someone bigger like Destiny, but it's pretty good for my channel. So
no, I think I see it relatively. So yeah, like you say, for your size of your channel, that's really good. And obviously, like his whole presumption of like this is old news, it's old hat, nobody cares about it. Well, clearly people do. People are tuning in to watch it. And I'm assuming you've probably got the watch times as well. So I'm assuming a lot of people are probably watching through a fair amount of it.
Haven't checked yet.
So, okay. But like either way though, like I just think like people are drawn to it whether he likes it or not. And it's a bit weird that he thinks it's not that way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There seems to be like the reality of the situation is the opposite. There was a few other things that annoyed me about him. Mainly, it was just him being kind of arrogant about stuff. Also, I didn't understand why he brought that girl in.
There's nothing wrong with him being arrogant, and I was happy to talk to Aika. I'm fine. I'm fine with arrogant people. I'm fine with. Aika sounded genuinely really concerned about something, and she. I don't know. Like I like that. I like that she came in. She sounded like very passionate about what she was saying, and I like that. And I'm glad she did.
Fair enough. I mean, if you found it edifying in some way, fair enough. Personally, on the receipt, like just watching it as a viewer, I didn't really feel like she added that much to it. I feel like it just didn't really go anywhere. Maybe
not, but I value it.
Yeah, fair enough. To be fair, yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's your life, man. But personally, for me, like these were just in my notes. I just found it annoying. I found like that whole conversation really annoying. Like I hats off to you for keeping you cool in that conversation because I probably would have got really annoyed if I was in your shoes. So, but that's about as much as I want to say about President Sunday. We won't talk any more about that then.
Okay, so what you watched the video? So
I watched the video and I thought it was a very good video. So I will say my first note was a lot of effort has been put in. Well done. That was my first note. Yeah. So I do want to commend you for that because yeah, like President Sunday said, the editing's very good. Music choices were very good. The tone, the pacing, altogether very well put together video. So and I know that's not easy to do. So
2 drum and bass tracks. When I first after said let's dig into it, I have 2 kind of like mediocre drum and bass tracks that I made myself. There are 4.
Oh right.
4 chiptune tracks by a guy named Alk, who is pretty cool, and all the rest is by my friend Connor, and the link is to his GeoCities or what I don't know, whatever the fuck his music, whatever music site he uses.
GeoCities, that's
I don't think
old.
I don't think it was GeoCities. I forget what it. Maybe it was. I don't know.
Is that even still around? What?
It's the kind of thing. It's the kind of thing he would do, but. There's a link to. I don't think it's GeoCities, but there's a link to his music in there, and he's right. Great, and he's let me use his music for my stuff, so it's great.
Yeah, no, really good music choice. Like everyone, big ups to all them because yeah, very good. And I don't know which ones were your own music, but they were all. Oh yeah, there was some classical. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. True.
And there one.
Yeah, you had a little thing about Mozart.
yeah. The classical, the Mozart, the overture. Okay, so this is the thing about finding music for YouTube videos. The overture, like the one where you first hear Mozart, that came from a YouTube video that said like copyright free usage, like YouTube, and I was like, I'm skeptical, but I'm just gonna put this in and then maybe find another version later or something. But the only thing that got a copyright, like, and so it said this is copywritten, so it needs to get credit to them. So like it recognizes, the system recognizes that I used their music, but like the only music that it recognized was the music that was labeled for me to use. So like it's like a really like finding music, even especially classical music, because technically it's public domain, but all recordings of it are not public domain. So,
yeah, that's the rub. Yeah.
So it's like they're all trying to trick you, and they're all trying to entrap you into like stealing your money or something.
I find when I've been because classical music's really good for getting around like the the licensing stuff. And there are some that if you just search for like what is it, public, not public domain, can't remember the phrase.
Use.
Yeah, like either free use or unlicensed classical music and stuff. There'll be like playlists that you can get that have like a bunch of them in there. That's what I've always done, and it's never gone wrong for me. So, but yeah, I have had a couple where I got them just because I thought, oh, maybe it'll be okay. It wasn't in the lists, but I was like, maybe it'll be okay. It's classical, but yeah, it wasn't.
I don't trust those lists.
Kosher.
Those lists scare me. Maybe I'm wrong to be scared, but I think they're trying to trick me because there's so much like with fair use or like public use. There is like there's more than one type of copyright for each one of these things. There is like commercial and then non-commercial. Like, because I'm mostly concerned about because like the video is fine as it is, but if I get monetized, does the way that this specific copyright work? I'm gonna have to look into this, and if it's not that way, I'm gonna have to change the video to change that track out for another one because it could be non-commercial only. So if I start making money off of it, and they don't even tell you that.
It's usually explicit though. No, it usually is explicit because I've had copyright strikes for music and stuff, and they're usually explicit on like when you can monetize and when you can't. And I had one recently on another channel of mine, and it said that they use this music, but the owner allows the music to be used on YouTube, so there's nothing that needs to happen. It just recognizes that it's there.
Okay, I think that's this.
Yeah. So like, there's nothing to worry about basically.
Okay.
In that case. So another thing I wanted to say is about like a general note was that your analysis on the everything that you were reading, the article itself and all the transcripts you were reading was actually pretty measured, and I did appreciate that. It wasn't like super duper, like you weren't trying to come at it from like I'm gonna go hard against Destiny or I'm gonna go hard against criticizing Max or this report. You were kind of just taking it at face value, seeing how you felt about it as you were going along. And one of the things that I noted from that was that you gave charity to Destiny when it came to the situation of him choking his wife, who he had like a domestic violence issue with.
Yeah.
Apparently she was violent towards him a lot, and there was one time where he choked her out or something, or restrained her. And you actually criticized Mr. Girl a little bit on that because you liken it to something that he did, one of his incidents of domestic violence that he spoke about. And I just thought that showed a really good faith, essentially. I thought that was like it was like near the beginning, maybe the first 15 minutes that you said that. And for me, that set a good tone for the rest of the video, in my opinion. We also had a hot, steamy shower scene.
Oh yeah,
which I thought
I'm
was
glad that I had
nice.
that. I'm glad I have that. Because the scenes before that, I'm so filthy because we had been moving. So we had like taken the like shower curtains off, and I hadn't like showered for like 24 hours, so I looked filthy. So I was like I filmed it, and then I was like, well, I mean, considering how filthy I look, I gotta put the shower in so people feel better.
So I'm assuming as well, by the way, that because I'm going to jump ahead a little bit because my notes just kind of came naturally as I was watching. But I'm assuming that it was your girlfriend that was the lady in the video.
Yeah.
That was reading along with you. Okay. And the one thought that I had when she was reading over like some of the stuff to do with Anna, because we're going to get into the Anna stuff now. But when she was reading about the Anna stuff, all I could think was, I'd love her to read over my messages with my girlfriend when I'm arguing and see what she thinks about that. I don't know why I thought that, but I just thought she seems to be given a fair shake to things, and I thought sometimes it's good to have a third party look over these things.
Yeah, she's.
So maybe she'd be good for that, you know.
I don't want to talk too much about her because like I didn't like
Oh,
have
we
her
don't need to
face.
get personal.
I know, but
we
like
don't need to get personal about your girlfriend. Yeah.
she's great to talk to.
Yeah, I just got the idea that she. At first when I saw that, I got the idea that she was pretty measured and like pretty well thought out. But then I did actually have a couple of quibbles with her later on. But we'll probably get into that in a bit. So the next one was okay. So I thought this. You made a comment which I thought was actually pretty good. You said about the people involved in the Anna situation. You said that they were good people in the right context.
Yeah,
they were doing this
because everybody thought she was a crazy, like, insane person, and like people like last night Aika was telling me that everybody believed that she was like, like talking to Destiny, like literally doing like crazy people things. And like later, like Destiny took it all back, and it's like, oh no, she's actually not a crazy psycho that is like, like has like a voodoo doll of me and stuff. It's just she just has OCD. So he like made this whole narrative up that she's literally like a comically insane person from a fake movie with fucking Jim Carrey, and like he took it all back. Oh no, she's just OCD. But yeah. Everybody that did all these horrible things believed that she was like truly like, so they were intervening like because they were trying to protect Destiny from this insane crazy person.
Yeah, so in their eyes, they are actually doing something good. They think they're defending somebody against this issue. But realistically, what they were actually doing was just full on bullying somebody, essentially, who's like mentally unstable. But it was. This is something that I was thinking about while I was watching it, and you didn't bring it up. But I don't know if you're familiar. Are you familiar with like certain psychology terms and stuff like that? Like when it, especially around things like narcissism and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a concept that people talk about with narcissists of flying monkeys. Like the Wicked Witch of the West from the Wizard of Oz.
I'm not familiar.
Fly, my pretties, fly. You've never seen the Wizard of Oz?
No, I'm not familiar with the flying monkeys metaphor.
Oh, with the term. So I'll explain it real quick. So basically, the idea is that a narcissist will get people around them who will kind of do their dirty work for them. They'll kind of manipulate them into giving them one-sided stories, giving them even lies, twisting the truth, stuff like that, so that they kind of are all on side, and then kind of send them out to dish out some punishment or go after somebody that they don't like or whatever. So that's why they're called flying monkeys, because in the Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch of the West, she sends out her flying monkeys to go out and attack and blah blah blah.
I've definitely been a flying monkey.
That's kind of the metaphor.
I've definitely been a flying monkey for a narcissist. I for a while I had a narcissist that I was very close with he would like pin all of he would always make himself the center of all the social interactions. He would always he would have a friend's Discord, but he'd be the one in control of it. If you tried to like take control or like make your own, he'd get like freaked out. And he would like talk about everyone else in private, and like he would tell everyone else how much he hated everyone else in private, but when around other people he wouldn't do that. So he was always like pinning everybody against each other and sending everybody out against people, trying to make them people that aren't like him. He would try to fix them, get everybody to like make them submit to make them be more like him, and everybody had to have his like values and yeah.
And like people are usually unaware that this is even happening to them a lot of times.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's quite good that you have the self-awareness to know that you might have even been one of those people. I probably have been one of those people myself as well at one point in time. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I mean, I'm sure it's probably happened. But that thought was going through my head when you were talking about this good people in the right context thing. that's what it kind of made me think of. I was like, these guys are kind of like the flying monkeys, that are attacking Anna, essentially. They don't really understand the full context of what's going on. They've been fed a particular line, manipulated into this situation, and are now just being let loose. They're running wild. It's like Hulkamania out there.
And they start showing Anna like more compassion or like consideration, and they start listening to her. And now, like, suddenly, like, whoa, you need to back up, buddy. Like you are causing more problems. She is mentally unwell. If you side with her, you're siding with making her worse. You're making the situation. I just got a comment here. It says, "No, not good faith, retard. Watched the whole video on Tom Foolery's show, and we were talking about how gross it was. You brought Anna into it again. You are a true piece of shit." Was our ultimate conclusion. Yeah, like so like me saying that. I'm on side Anna, and I think that she was actually not a crazy person, and that she was labeled as one, and her treatment was truly horrible. And she from the beginning she said, like, if we hook up and then you treat me like this, then you like that's not going to be okay with me. He didn't care. Like her emotional reaction to the situation makes complete sense every single step of the way. And like me saying that it makes sense, or like that's like me being a piece of shit. Like
it's so bizarre, that comment right there, like bringing Anna into it again, like is like, wait a minute, this is already all public information as it is, right? So it's not like you're trying to drag somebody into something. And if anything, you're actually trying to give credence to the idea that she was actually mistreated. Like, you're not dragging her in to have a go at her. You have to mention it because it's part of the issue. But like,
yeah, it's like, so somebody gets mistreated.
You're talking about it because yeah, she was mistreated, and I actually agree with you. I go on, sorry.
Someone gets mistreated, and then everybody's prescription is, but if you talk about them being mistreated, then that's going to make it worse for them, buddy. So don't you fucking talk, because if you talk about this, you know what that's going to mean for her. You know what that's going to mean for Anna if you talk about this. It's like they're literally like the act of doing that has like baked in the assumption of mistreatment continuing. So
this is like flying monkey behavior. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they're trying to toe the party line, as it were, or whatever. Like it's so bizarre. It's like, why can't people just see the reality that is literally right in front of their eyes? It's so weird. So yeah, that like the Anna stuff. I remember watching it. At the time, I was watching it all. I've been a Destiny fan since he started debating like 5, maybe 6 years ago, way before he became the bigger influence that he is now. And I remember at the time when I was watching it, like I was like, okay, I can kind of get on board with a lot of Destiny's political takes and stuff, and some of the drama that he has can be kind of funny or entertaining to watch sometimes. But this just seemed like overboard. Like it was like beyond a lot of things that I'd seen from him before this. And it did really make me question. I argued with a lot of people in comment. I'm a comment person. I argue with people in comments. And I argued a bunch about this, about how like he was treating Anna and stuff. And nobody would see it at the time. And people still refuse to see it now. It's so strange. Especially when it seems so blatant. I don't know.
So the argument is, so someone... comments here says, we're the ones on Anna's side. She is in a great place and isn't into dredging it up. The attention is the thing that was making her crazy. Okay, so if you say that, you're ignoring the fact that there was a big narrative spun about her by like a narcissistic like psycho, that she was like literally like cartoonishly crazy, like ridiculous, insane person who would like the type of person who would write like crazy shit on the walls in feces, and that was all like retconned. Oh no, actually she just has OCD. But like, it's not the attention, it's the type of attention. And me standing up for her is positive attention, and it should be good. But the thing that would make it bad for me to stand up for her is because me standing up for her might make one of these abusive people want to stand up against her again. And that doesn't make it bad for me to stand up for her. That makes it that means that there's a situation where there's a threat that if you stand up for Anna, someone else is going to then like now bully her more. So like no, we should recognize that those people, like, they should fucking stop. They just should stop. Or like me standing up for Anna, what if that makes her stand up for herself again? That would make her crazy. No, it wouldn't make her crazy. It would make bullies attack her more. Destiny attack her more. If she stands up for herself again, it will be bad for her because he will abuse her again. So that, yeah, the problem is not me standing up for her or not her standing up for herself. The problem is Destiny.
100%. And the people involved that want to go and attack her. I will say, just for her own sake, it probably is best that she walks away from it and just doesn't bother with it.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, like, I don't think she really did anything that wrong. I will say though that like the only charity that I would give to Destiny on this side is that I can see why, if he didn't really know her full situation, he's getting inundated with messages and stuff like that. He could see this as potentially like a bit harassing or whatever. But the reaction to this situation and also making it so public, in my mind, was just way overboard to what it really deserved, you know?
Yeah, he should have just ignored her.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, that's what you would hope for. I mean, but even if he didn't, but like keeping it private and addressing it privately, there's nothing wrong with that. I have no problem with that. But like it wasn't like that. It was like all brought out into the open. He was having these huge arguments with her. He was like literally slagging her down in front of like thousands of people to hundreds of thousands of viewers that would watch eventually. And stuff like that. It's like, come on, man, this is actually pretty fucked up to do. So, like, psychologically, that is actually quite horrible to do to somebody.
Yeah, somebody said, she won't thank you for it. Your savior delusions of grandeur are narcissistic. I'm not trying to get Anna to thank me for it. I think that me talking about this, it, like I said, could attract negative attention to her from abusive fucking asshole people. So, like, I'm not trying to save her, and I don't think that I am saving her. I feel like talking about abusive people means that it puts their victims in danger. That is the situation going on here. But does that mean we should never talk about abusive people?
Yeah, or the victims involved or whatever, especially when it's public. Like, at the end of the day, this stuff has happened publicly. Like,
yeah,
we have a right to talk about it just in general.
It's Destiny's fault for making this shit public. So if he doesn't want us to fucking talk about it, he shouldn't have done it. So he has to be held accountable for it.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. It's honestly bizarre how people like kind of hand wave it away in this way, or like these arguments that people are making at the minute, these comments that people are making. It's like so backwards. Like the logic is really backwards. It's not like people aren't really approaching this with empathy. It doesn't feel like it's this kind of weird attack defense mode or something. I can't even really put my finger on it. It's just really, I'm not gonna lie, it's just confusing me. It's confusing
Talking about it prevents Anna 3.0 or 4.0, etc. Someone else said she made it public first, so he responded publicly. That's probably true. She made it public on her fucking, like, how many viewers did she have on her stream? I bet if we looked that up, I bet it was less than 100. I bet she was probably like fucking 20 or I don't know, 50. But yeah, there's no fucking way. Like, so like someone with 20 viewers has way less responsibility for one, has way less responsibility than someone with like a fucking shit ton of viewers. And if you don't understand that, I can't help you. Like, that's obvious. But also, she was talking about publicly how she felt neglected by Destiny. And like, if you feel neglected or abused or something, and like certain Destiny should it's not like wrong for Destiny to respond to that, but I think it's wrong for him to retaliate. Like what you should do if
Yeah.
someone says that is you take the claims. Okay, look, this is what happened. I'm sorry that you feel this way. We shouldn't continue this conversation in public. I'll make a public statement about this. I don't want to be doing this. I don't agree with your claims, but like you say, you present your evidence and shit. But the route that he went down was to totally discredit and destroy her and paint her as insane, and that's what made her worse. That's what made her crazy, because he was literally mentally abusing her. And
Yeah, it seems like an obvious line of logic. Like, I think if you know anything about human psychology, like, of course somebody's going to be driven a bit insane when somebody is, like you say, in such a higher station, like has so many more viewers and stuff like that, and is making all these public statements about you. Like you say, there was just better ways to go about it, and instead he chose the way of like completely denigrating her. And I thought, yeah, I just never agreed with it. I never have agreed with it, and I won't agree with it. I think it's fucking bizarre. I'm assuming you're getting more comments here. I can see your eyes scanning.
When I say held accountable, well, what exactly do I mean? I mean, we should recognize that he was an abusive piece of shit to her. That's all. Like, he actually, like, if he actually leaked her nudes, I don't think he did. Then that would actually be like, she should be going to, like the cops or something. But like, I don't think he actually did anything illegal. I think he was just using his platform as legally as allowed in a way to totally destroy someone and like to completely tarnish them and like completely destabilize them mentally, all while he was continuing to engage sexually with her back again, and then doing this repeatedly in a cycle. Like, it wasn't like a clash of people where it just like they had like this toxic interaction where that like, and no, he talked about it on a stream, it wasn't healthy, whatever. No, it kept happening, and then he kept sexting her again and shit like that, and then he was sexting her so that he could control her. That's not a healthy way to deal with this. He should have fucking ignored her and stopped talking to her and like cut it the whole fucking thing off. I don't know what to say.
If anything, that speaks to him taking advantage of somebody who he has actively acknowledged is mentally unwell, or at least from his perspective. And he's literally taken advantage of her vulnerabilities to have that sexual relationship. And I think that that's actually pretty important to note. Like, that is actually a really good point. Also, I actually wanted to say something about what you just said. You said about how it wasn't illegal. Now, this is something that President Sunday was trying to say to you as well, was that like, oh, it wasn't illegal, unless you're going to go to the cops, what's the point in talking about it? And I was just like, that is such a weird perspective to have. Like, most abuse that happens in the world is not illegal. Like, most emotional abuse, most like kind of abuse that people go through is not necessarily illegal. That doesn't mean it shouldn't be spoken about or dealt with, or especially when it's so public like this.
Yeah, like if you publicly do this shit, and people don't recognize that what you're doing is abusive behavior, and you're telling everybody that it's normal and healthy and not abusive behavior, we should held accountable means specifically that we should recognize that it's abusive behavior. And if that was actually part of Destiny's brand, that like he's like, he's Mr. Retaliation, then it would be like a totally different experience watching him, and you could even enjoy it because you know what it is, and he's not telling you to do it. He's not encouraging it.
Yeah, it's just that, again, it comes back to that like owning your shit kind of thing, but he's not really doing that. There was a comment you made in the video as well, where you said you had a bit of a conflict in yourself, where you said that you wanted to defend Destiny sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to believe someone isn't just like this abusive monster. And I actually kind of half agreed with that. Because I think in this kind of situation, even say somebody is responding to something, right? And their response is way over the top to what is happening to them. Now, what is happening to them might actually be wrong. Someone might actually be doing something wrong to them. But their response to it is so elevated that it seems abusive. And I think this is kind of like part of the confusion with a lot of people, is that there were, I wouldn't say that Anna did things wrong exactly, but like there was elements of like, you could say that like what she was doing was maybe harassing him at times, or you could say that maybe she shouldn't have gone public with like private stuff, which could be a breach of trust or something, you know?
Yeah.
And so he kind of when he's arguing with her or when he's making points, I think there are times where he can be making valid points that you do agree with. And I think that's probably what you're picking up on, is that like you want to defend those points because they do make sense for this context. But then it's like the extra shit that's coming through, like the when he's like literally just denigrating her like totally and getting other people to come in to denigrate her and piling on her. That's where it's going extra, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I just felt like you probably shouldn't feel too conflicted about that. Just because I think it's natural to acknowledge when there are good points being made. It doesn't mean you're really trying to defend Destiny exactly. It's just that like you're able to see nuance, I guess. And this also leads into my next note as well, actually, sorry, is that you also said something about kind of seeing yourself in Destiny. You made a couple of comments about like, oh, I might have said something like this. There was a moment where you're in like a kind of like a gardeny place. There's like fountains and stuff, and you're reading some bits, and you say to your girlfriend, "Oh, I've said this to you," or I've said things like this before. And I could see that you were feeling a little like, shit, am I like, kind of like Destiny? Like, am I this?
Well, no, it's not. That's not what I was saying. I was saying, like he's not a totally bad person. He was giving Lav in that time. He was giving her good advice to like handle some of like the online stuff, and like he's not like a completely horrible person. You know, like.
Yeah.
And I don't like these types of, like, the culture is like, we're not allowed to say something is abuse unless it's illegal in some people's minds, in some fucking stupid people's minds they refuse to look at anything in a spectrum. They're literally just like Sith Lords. They're like, everything has to be extremes. They're not able to see anything in any way that's not black and white. So if what you're doing is not illegal or doesn't break any rules, then how dare you call it abuse? Because now you're introducing nuance and I can't fucking handle it. And so I do not like the culture where if you come out and you say that someone is kind of being abusive, that means we all have to jump down their throats. I don't think that we should be doing like jumping down people's throats or dogpiling or demonizing people. Like I think that we should like you should be encouraged to talk about these things, but that doesn't mean that we should listen to you. It doesn't mean we should believe you. It doesn't mean that like just because someone's being abusive to you doesn't mean shit. Like maybe they're just kind of a dick. It's like, yeah, that person's just kind of a dick. I mean, like you're right, but it's like that's the conclusion like that you should come out of some things. So my need to defend Destiny comes from the fact that to talk about these things at all is within a context where we have this cancel culture like shit. Like I don't think he should be canceled or anything. I just think that we should recognize what his behavior is, because he's setting a really unhealthy standard and he's teaching people to be retaliatory little fucking assholes.
I think you're actually touching on something that is, you're making me think about the phrase in Christian circles of hate the sin, not the sinner. All right, and like you're criticizing the behavior rather than trying to make a full character judgment of somebody. And people can't distinguish between that these days for some reason. Like they can't distinguish between saying this behavior is wrong and please just stop doing it. And if you criticize, to a lot of people, it seems like if you criticize somebody's behavior, you're criticizing their whole character, their whole being. which is
Right,
not
and that's
really real.
that's what Destiny will like do. That's his retaliatory thing. Part of his retaliation is if you're criticizing him, you're saying that he's like an evil person. So his response is that he has to paint you as a demon. He has to paint you as a crazy evil person. But I'm not having that. Like I don't think he is an evil person, and I don't think that I'm an evil person. I think that his behaviors are toxic, abusive, unhealthy, and we should not encourage them. And like maybe he thinks that I'm wrong. And he's entitled to that opinion, you know?
Yeah. So that actually does bring us to the Lav stuff as well, because I think that was like kind of
That's
on the
most
border.
of the report.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I did actually read the report, by the way. So, so it was kind of. I wasn't really, to be fair, when I was watching your video, I was thinking like, I was coming out with a lot of similar perspectives to you, watching the video, but it was actually kind of nice. It was nice to feel like I wasn't crazy, if you know what I mean, when I was watching it, because I was like, I thought a lot of these similar things, not always one to one, but like very similar thoughts. And it was just nice to see somebody else who kind of came away with a similar perspective, because when the article came out, people, number one, most people just didn't even read it at all. And number two, if they did read it, they were given the most uncharitable version of the article as possible. And I don't know, I just didn't really vibe with that. So it was nice to see someone finally kind of just give it the due diligence that it deserved.
I could have been way more diligent too. It wasn't even, but I mean, from just even what I did. Because, I mean, most of the work was the editing. I just like read it. I mean, that took a while, but
I suppose what I mean by that is more like just the kind of nuance to all parties,
just honesty,
like involved.
Just honesty. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Maybe some of these people are being honest, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna say that I'm not unbiased against Destiny either. Like, there are probably things that I mean, there's like I feel like I was very open in my bias. I was watching someone else like watch my video, and they were like kept like saying I'm projecting and shit, and I was like, I'm not fucking projecting. I'm just being honest about my perspective from my opinion. It doesn't mean I'm projecting. Like, you can disagree with me, fuck, or maybe it is projecting. But what does that mean? Like, so?
I didn't pick up on any projecting personally. So I don't know. I'd have to understand their argument a little bit more to understand why they would be saying that. But it didn't come across like that to me. But.
The difference between projecting and empathy is if you're projecting, you're wrong, and if you're empathetic, you're right.
I don't know if that's quite true.
So empathetic, you're trying to feel. If I'm empathizing with you, I'm trying to feel what you feel. And if I feel what you feel, but I'm wrong, I'm projecting. But if I feel what you feel and I'm right, now I'm empathizing.
Okay, I can see what you mean. I thought projecting was a bit more like you have this idea of something and you are either it's from your own experience or whatever, but you'll just place it onto any situation without thought or context exactly, and you will just prescribe, whatever it is that you believe to be about something to be true, if that makes sense. Not sure if I explained that very well. But so I don't know if I take it from this empathy.
That's what empathy is, though.
But
that's what empathy is. Empathy is because I can't actually. So if I'm empathizing with you right now, like you're like mildly like frustrated with me, like mildly, because we're having a little clash of understanding here. So I'm empathizing with you and I'm saying that's how you feel, but maybe that's not how you feel. So if I'm right, then I'm actually like connecting with you on an emotional level. But if I'm wrong, I'm just assuming that the way I think you would feel is how you actually feel. So it's actually more saying something about myself. So I think it's just like to be empathetic, you have to be willing to or capable of projecting. They're two sides of the same coin. And I think a lot of these people are just like so unfamiliar or unused to empathy at all. Like I completely am willing to accept that I might be projecting at times when I try to do that. But like if I don't do that, then I can't empathize. Yeah, I know
Yeah, and how could
exactly.
you not as well? Like, if you're gonna ever weigh in or have an opinion about anything or any situation ever, then like you're gonna have to engage on some level and essentially potentially be wrong on things. Like you can't
Yeah, and I
just be
accept that.
omnipotent
I
and
accept that. Like, challenge me on what I'm saying, and I'll listen. You know, like.
Hmm. Okay, so I'm actually going to get into one of the first quibbles that I had with your girlfriend, by the way.
I don't want to speak
Um,
for her too much.
no, you don't have to speak for her. It was just something that I noticed. Okay,
Yeah.
so you gave your girlfriend a question. You said, "How would you feel if you were Destiny, or how would Destiny feel after Mr. Girl and Lav did a stream about him, basically shitting on him?" And your girlfriend says that you're transforming Destiny into another person. Now, that comment stood out to me, and at that point, up to that point, I had considered your girlfriend to be very measured in how she'd been reacting to a lot of the stuff that she'd been reading. But that comment made me think, oh, maybe there was a heavy bias actually, and maybe that built up over time over what she was reading and stuff.
No, she just didn't. I, I don't know about heavy. I don't know. Sure, she could be biased, but I really don't want to speak for her. Um, Make
That's
someone
fair enough.
uncomfortable, but
Okay, I'll just say that was a note that I made. It just kind of stood out to me a little bit. That's all. It kind of made me second guess a little bit, like some of the stuff that
well,
she'd been
she just
saying
didn't
before.
like the hypothetical because what like I was like, but she didn't like it, but then she engaged with it. So what happened
Mm.
was like the first thing she said was, well, he didn't do something different. So like if like she's saying I would have done something different. So like he if you swapped brains or whatever, like he wouldn't be him. So like, and so she's like, well, the hypothetical's stupid. That's what she was saying, I think. So
Well, no, because you were asking her how would she feel. Like, so if somebody made a stream about, so you asked her two questions actually. You said, how would you feel, but how should you feel, or something like that. And she only actually engaged with one of the questions, and she didn't even actually say how she would feel. She just said what she would do, and she said that she would reach out and try to repair the situation. I felt like that
sure,
was a
I
little
think
bit of a
that's
cop out. Not gonna lie, but because I
that's
personally I got the feeling that she probably would be a little bit annoyed. Now maybe she wouldn't go about it and show that annoyance, but I think in her heart of hearts, like anyone would be saddened or annoyed if you had people that you had, like if we put
yeah.
ourselves into Destiny's shoes for a second, he helped Lav and Mr. Girl come up, and
Yes.
now
So,
they're kind of like going against him, and maybe there's valid reasons for them to go
but of
against
course, it's
him.
gonna make you feel like shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I did kind of think it was a little bit of a cop out on her end, but that was just my point of view on that.
Hmm.
Da, 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 da. There was another point where I had a quibble as well, and this was on Dan confronting Lav. And you make a statement that you say that he is weaponizing her mental health against her.
Yeah.
And
People do that a lot in this sphere.
they do. That is true. But in that instance in particular, I think it was more to do with her not keeping her word and being a hypocrite in
No.
general.
No. Like, yeah, but that. Sure, yes, but they're applying that in a specific context where, oh, that no, no, that is the grievance, but they were applying it in a context where you're not even consistent. Like, the only person that suffers when she's saying, oh well, I'm done streaming and for my mental health, and then they're like, well, we know you're not because you're gonna do it again. It's like, well then, like, wouldn't that be like the only reason I would tell her that is because like, like, you need to like protect yourself. You're hurting yourself by doing this. They're like, see, fuck you, see, you're wrong, you see, you're lying, you're even lying to yourself. And it's like you're not, like, you're just calling, like, it's not a reason to attack someone. That's like, that means someone needs help if you think that. Like, it's
I mean,
any vulnerability is this thing to fucking stab at.
well, to give a bit of charity there, like it would speak, like, because if her reasons before this stream were to say I'm not going to stream anymore because of my mental health,
I don't
and
think
then
that
she
was
does start. and then she does start streaming again, and then they come in and say, "Look, what the fuck is this about?" It kind of speaks to a situation of like, well, was she even being serious? Is her mental health actually being affected?
No, I
Like,
think that
what?
she actually
Why is she streaming again then?
I think when she said that she wasn't going to stream anymore, I think that she believed that she wasn't, and like to some people it was obvious that she was. She changes her mind about things like that, and that's not fucking like that. There's like tons of people that do shit like that all the time, and it's like why? Like I don't see. It's like that's just like normal, but like it's like it's a kink in the armor you can stab at, and it's like a vulnerability and it's a weakness in somebody, and so like you see that and it's like, see, fuck you. And
I will say that at that point in time, it was becoming the trend to just go after Lav. So that does play a part in the situation, I think. Like, you know, it was just kind of it became trendy to just kind of be like, let's shit on Lav today, kind of a situation. And I'm not the biggest fan of Lav.
She doesn't do.
I'm not the biggest fan of Lav, by the way. Just to let everybody know, I'm not a very big fan of Lav. Like, but I have my own reasons for that.
Yeah, but
I didn't think it was fair, though. I will agree with you that I don't think her treatment was very fair in a lot of instances.
Yeah. She in particular, this is something. She throws herself to the fire every time, like this kind of thinks like there's a trend where people are like being uncharitable to her, and then she'll like even like go in and like be uncharitable to herself because it's funny, and then like she is so unprotective of herself in that way, and that's cause for like concern. Like if you're Destiny and you're like really big and you see someone doing that, you should be like, holy, like you have to be the adult in the room. You have to not fucking like, you have to stop doing this, because if they keep like letting it happen to them, it's this same thing I was saying before. Like if you have one toxic clash, it's not one thing, but when it keeps happening and you just like, and you're seeing this pattern and you just keep engaging with it because you just like clearly enjoy doing this like retaliatory, like vitriolic, cruel treatment of these people, but you see someone keep throwing themselves on the fire over and over, you gotta be like the bigger man, and you gotta be like I'm like destroying you, like what?
Yeah, I do agree. In terms of like somebody who is introspective, you would hope that somebody would have that opinion. I think though that like one of the issues here though is like the personal responsibility of the people on the other end. Like if you're gonna put yourself in the arena constantly and you're losing, is there not also an argument to say maybe stop putting yourself in the arena?
Yeah, but yeah, that is okay. This kind of breakdown happens in a lot of these conversations. It's a philosophical disconnect that I think people are having, or maybe disconnect between what you think and what I think. Maybe not but so
I'm kind of agnostic on this, by the way. So yeah,
I know. I think both things are true at the same time. The personal responsibility is true. It's good advice. Like if you're talking to Leah, you should fucking be telling her that, But if you're talking to Destiny, you should also tell him to like just take some responsibility, because he's got like having a massive platform, like he has a massive impact on people, and just engaging like this, like he's destroying her, and he's gonna like with both of these cases, like just making them get worse, and then it becomes bigger and bigger. I mean, which is good content, I guess, but I think it depends on what context the advice is. So if you're giving somebody personal advice and you actually care about them, which most of the people telling her this shit only did it because they wanted to weaponize it against her. But if you actually care about her and you want to help her, you might give her that advice. But if you actually care about but if you're talking to Destiny, the advice, you shouldn't be saying, see, it's her fault because she keeps doing it. It's like, no, you have to take responsibility now, because like clearly she's not doing that. So
yeah, okay, I actually that's actually a really good point. Like it's not about which one's right, because like you say, both are right at the same time, and it's more like you've got to you've got to approach it from both angles. And what would you say
be the adult
to
in
each
the room.
side? Yeah. Okay, no, I totally see that point of view. Actually, yeah, I think that's pretty valid. So I think that's all my notes on the video. I did have a couple of criticisms. They're not very big criticisms, I will say. I think I would have liked a few more clips of the arguments and the instances themselves rather than you just reading them. I didn't mind you reading them, by the way, but I just think it would have been helpful to have a few more of those in there and like breaking them down a little bit, or just for that context of like how that is delivered. You know, like how Destiny is actually saying these things to people, and you know what I mean. Like when you've got that visceral level to it, it just adds a little bit more. But I also know that is such a pain in the arse to do when you're going through 3-hour long fucking streams to get these little clips and stuff. It's like, mate, it's insane to do all that. So I appreciate why you probably didn't do that, but I just think it probably would have elevated it a little bit more if you did have that. And the only other criticism that I have is the ending. Just ended kind of abruptly.
Yeah. I was like, I'm done.
I was just a bit like, oh shit, okay. I was expecting like a conclusion, like some extra thoughts, like, you know, like, oh, you know, all in all, this has happened, blah, 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 blah. But it kind of just ended. You had a drink. I assume the drink was like a congratulatory drink.
I just had a shot. I put it in there. Yeah.
Oh, you just had it in there.
It functions as that, but yeah, but dude, Malort is disgusting.
What was it you were drinking? Sorry.
Malort. My friends. Well, it's actually I didn't
never heard of it.
I didn't think it was as disgusting as most people think, but it's there's only 2 cask liquors, I'm told, and one of them is absinthe and the other one is Malort, and they drink it in Chicago a lot, and like people will like trick their friends into drinking it, because it's like gross, but like I didn't like hate it that much, but it's kind of like gross. It's like, yeah, it's like aniseed.
Don't know if you have that over there.
I don't know what that is.
Is that absinthe, you say?
Absinthe is the other cask liquor, from what I'm told. I don't know what that means.
Oh, so it's not absinthe. Oh, right. It's I thought like, it was like a kind of absinthe.
Cask liquor is like I don't know what that is. I think it's a type of way of making liquor. So my friend, when he gave me the Malort, he said that there's only 2 types of cask liquor. So this is a weird thing. There's absinthe and Malort. It's made in some weird way. It's some weird liquor. So
yeah,
it's just weird. It's just very weird tasting.
I'd give it a shot, but I'm not very good with spirits, so we'll see.
I'm not much of a drinker.
So I didn't have any other real notes about the video. I did want to talk a little bit about Nick Fuentes, though.
Sure.
Just because you did bring him up towards the end, and this kind of is a bit of a slightly different discussion from like the main thrust of the video, but it does involve Max, it does involve Nick Fuentes, and that whole situation. Now, one thing that I really wanted to point out to you, which I don't know if you are aware of, but Destiny did know that Nick Fuentes had white nationalist or Nazi leanings years before he ever did this chicken and waffle shit.
The thing here's something I wanted to say. Okay, put a pin in that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go on.
About the chicken and waffles thing, it's so ironic because I believe in man. Sometimes when I say stuff like this, I get choked up. But like I believe that someone like Nick Fuentes, I don't know, maybe not, but a lot of these people like they need like love and compassion, and debating them about this shit. You can debate, like, that's just going to make them, like, more entrenched or whatever. But, like, what they actually need is, like, someone to, like, give them some love. And because the reaction is everybody's, like, he's literally spreading Nazism. And so, like, get away from me. You know what I mean? And,
sure.
But he needs love. And it's so ironic that the chicken and waffles thing is the love, but also it has the public effect of normalizing him. Mm-hmm. Because the thing that I'm saying is the one thing I would want is for him to be normalized, like, to himself. Like, say I'm a normal person, you know, he should be able to feel like a normal person, and he should be able to, like, grow, like, and not entrench himself in fucking Nazism shit, and be able to connect with other people in a healthy way. Like, these people need to go to therapy, but it shouldn't be public therapy, I guess. But it's so ironic that the chicken and waffles thing is very dangerous because you're normalizing him to other people. It's like you're giving other people therapy to be okay with Nazis. But what the solution should be to give Nazis therapy to be okay with Jews. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a weird one with Nick. I followed him for a long time, and the reason why I brought that up about Destiny already knowing about that whole situation was because it all felt really disingenuous when Mr. Girl was trying to bring it up to him, and Destiny was acting like he had no idea about what he was all about and stuff, when he'd actually debated him like 5 years prior, and also 3 years prior. And he was on the Kill stream. I rewatched this the other day, but he was on the Kill stream with, which is a known far right wing stream, by the way, if anybody's never heard of it. But basically, he was on there, and he already had the opinion that Nick Fuentes was a genocidal maniac, essentially, and they were debating it for a good hour or so on that podcast. And this is a couple of years before Max comes out and says, "Hey, why are you promoting Nick Fuentes when he has these hateful views?" And then Destiny's just like, "Well, you don't know what he thinks. You don't know what he feels. And I found that to be like a really fucked up situation. I actually really felt for Max in that situation, because he was being very heavily gaslit in that moment. Maybe he was a bit hyperbolic. Maybe he got a bit too emotional about it all, because, like, let's face it, Nick is fairly fringe. But considering that after all this stuff happened,
less and less.
I think yeah, this is what I mean. Like, at the time he was fringe, but I think you said it in the video, is that after this point in time, he's then getting involved with Kanye. He's visiting the ex-president.
Just last night, there's a big thing on Twitter about him. Like,
I haven't actually watched that yet, but yeah, I saw you post about it.
Yeah, Vito, he made it a thing. He noticed on Rumble that Nick was like doing some rally and was getting 5,000 views on Rumble. No mask off, like literally, like completely like a Hitler's. Like, actually, like Hitler didn't actually say kill the Jews. He would
not publicly, I don't think.
Exactly. Because so he's worse than Hitler, you know.
I don't know exactly what he was saying in that speech. I haven't watched any clips or anything. I was actually just going to watch it. I may even watch it on stream. I don't know, but I was just going to watch it just to see what was going on. But I've actually followed him for many years, and it's mainly just because I've noticed this kind of creep with people like him into spaces where he kind of does worm his way in, and people kind of give a little bit of a. At first, the reaction to him when he first came around years ago was to basically just call him a Nazi and get rid of him. But then he's kind of slowly slithered his way into a lot of discourse, and now he's on like Fresh and Fit and shit like that. And it's a very scary situation.
A part of that is the shunning him in the first place, because I think that makes us more isolated and makes us more resentful, whatever it is. And it really exacerbates these things. And then if someone like that you shun is able to get their foot in the door again, now they're like starting to super villain mode, you know?
Yeah, they're like a rebel, they're like an anti-hero or some shit like that. And it does give them a kind of a mystique that they probably shouldn't have. Yeah, I actually agree with that. Like, I don't think that they should have been shunned realistically. They should have been engaged with on, a kind of I guess maybe an empathetic level, or at least just engaging with their arguments as they come, rather than just dismissing them out of hand, which is what has happened. If anything, that is probably the reason why Trump even came into power, is because a lot of people would just dismiss a lot of shit out of hand and just call any right-wing person a Nazi for having any kind of opinion that was just a bit right to any kind of left-wing opinion. And it's kind of given rise to people like Trump. It's given rise to people like Nick Fuentes. And I think it's just a bit of a problem, really. I think it's kind of biting people in the arse now.
Yeah.
I don't know what we kind of do. I don't know what we do about it now, in all honesty.
Yeah, it's that's why it's really scary moment I think right now. I don't. It sounds. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but I feel like we're like in a really fucked up moment with the Nazi thing. Like, this could get bad.
Yeah, it could, because I think, like you say, because the Kanye situation was another situation that was a bit of a flashpoint as well, because realistically, I think Max has said something along these lines as well, is that in people going so hard against any kind of criticism against Jews as a group or elite Jewish people perhaps being corrupt in some kind of way, um, in going so hard against that, you've then caused, because people can't talk about it. Now that's all they want to talk about, and like any of the people that are talking about it, they're gravitating towards them. And most of these people are kind of Machiavellian people who want to gain power off of this shit in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of creating this feedback loop that is now gaining more traction as it's going along. And I think it's probably high time that some of these criticisms are addressed in a better way. Basically, like, we need to be able to have candid discussions about
Yeah.
corrupt elites of any stripe.
Yeah,
And
because that's the thing. A lot of the criticisms that the Nick Fuentes, like Reuters and shit, they have of Jews, is true of certain individuals. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like I'm on your side as far as those guys go, you know. But it's not Jews. It's like we have like fucking rich people that just do whatever the fuck they want. Like it's not Jews that are like controlling free speech, but there are like probably some rich Jewish guys that like, don't like it when you say anti-Semitic things. And
well, it's the ACLU, isn't it, or whatever?
yeah, like, but
Got a whole body.
you should be talking about specific people, and you should be, like, that'd be so much way more engage. I would engage with that like so easily. You're talking about specific people, like some of their like shit is conspiratorial, and it's and that makes it hard to engage with. But some of it is based on like there are rich people that abuse their wealth and their power, and there's a lot of rich Jewish people. It it like
I think
to not be able
sorry,
to talk about that makes it hard. It means that the only people talking about it are them, and now
yeah, exactly. It means that they're in control of that narrative because they're the only ones that speak about it, and then they can then push forward whatever their agenda is, rather than having a broader discussion between lots of people where people can have, interchanging ideas about it. And what was I going to say just before? I think another problem here, though, with with this issue, is that you can talk about elites if they're white, or if they're black potentially, or pretty much any other color, race, creed, religion. If they're abusing their power, people will talk about how their religion or their race or whatever factors into why they're abusing or what they're trying to do, what they're trying to uphold,
I don't
all
think it
that kind
ever
of stuff.
is. I don't think it ever is. I don't think white people abuse their power because they're white. I don't think Jewish people abuse their power because they're Jewish. I think it's always bullshit. I think it's just people with power abuse their power.
I agree with that, but what I'm saying is that the way that people discuss it publicly, there's a lot of discussion about like white people just want to stay in power for white supremacy reasons and rah rah rah,
Yeah.
right? And that's an acceptable thing to talk about in society,
It
which is
shouldn't
actually
be.
conspiratorial. No, I don't think so either. But
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the problem. It's not the.
but what I'm saying is people are seeing that is acceptable. But then when the subject of Jewish elites being corrupt comes up, that's not acceptable.
It's
And
both of it's not acceptable. That's what I think.
yeah, fair enough. But what I'm getting at is like the phenomenon of what we're seeing is because of things like that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. Is like
Yeah.
it's because of this people trying to rein it all in and stop it all, anybody from speaking about all this stuff. People are seeing the holes there. They're seeing like, well, why can I talk about white people being corrupt all day for their white supremacist reasons, but I can't talk about Jews being corrupt for their Jewish supremacy reasons or whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? Like they don't.
Yeah.
and
And
that's
it makes perfect
driving
sense
it as
because
well.
there's a lot of wealthy Jews. So if they have power and like they're like, I mean, they're superficially they're white, they like have white skin, and it's like, so it's like, well, why can't I? And the reason you shouldn't is because it's dumb all around. I think it's just,
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that it should be more focused on specific people, specific phenomenons, and shouldn't be attributed to a whole group. I think that is like pretty ridiculous. I think you can potentially see why certain cultural things within a group um, may cause people to do certain things. But again, it shouldn't really be attributed to the whole group. It should just be that these individuals are doing this
well,
thing, you
well,
know?
yeah, but when you say that's too much of a blanket. It's not that you're not right. Um, so it's there could be a culture among like a community of rich Jewish people, but that culture does not that culture does not extend to some like other like Jewish people, like I like in the same way that you could say that like Islam is like a violent, like, like, and it makes people like become terrorists and shit, and but that there's Muslims that are not terrorists. It's not Islam, it's the culture. It's I don't it's a culture using Islam to do terrorism. So
Sure.
I think it's the same thing. I don't think it like is there's any. I don't think there's anything about like Judaism. It's just like there's just some rich Jewish assholes. They just
I
happen to
mean,
be
I,
Jewish.
I I would I would quibble with the idea that like there is I, I think there is cultures in every culture that like paints the extreme, and there is people who do latch on to their culture, and if they become successful, they use that as a vehicle to forward whatever agenda they have. Like, but I don't think that's true of all elites or all Jews or whatever or any group. But there is people that come out of groups that their culture does influence them to do whatever it is that they might be doing. Like, I don't know. That's just my perspective on it, um, but again, I wouldn't use that idea to paint a whole group a certain way. Like, that's not really what I'm getting at. I'm trying to just think about like the environmental conditions that may bring about certain kinds
Yeah,
of
Jews
people.
are Jews can be insular.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I think that's historical. There's a lot of historical reasons for that, but again, it plays a
but
role
it plays
into
a role. Yeah,
why they may be more nepotistic in hiring people of Jewish descent rather than other people or whatever.
yeah,
So, it does play a role in the situation. I think that's all I'm trying to get at with
yeah.
that. So I think that's pretty much everything I had to say, to be honest. Those are all my notes. Overall, I think you did a really good job on the video. So
Thanks.
well done. And yeah, I think that's it, unless you wanted to speak about anything else.
What about boobs? You think that?
Oh yeah, we had an argument about boobs. Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Okay. I hope this doesn't go on too long because I don't think it's that complicated. But I think we just have difference of opinion. I think that if women were shirtless all the time, that we would become desensitized and demysticized to like breasts. And you're saying people would grope boobs more. Like if women had no shirts on, men would just walk up to women and grope them.
Okay, okay, I'll give you my line of thinking here. So, people that are exposed to pornography from a young age never get desensitized to it in the sense of where they don't watch porn anymore. They go for more hardcore porn, and they go deeper and deeper in a lot of times,
It's
like
not
the
an
vast
equivalent.
majority of the times.
It's,
And what I know, what I'm getting at is I feel like the same psychology kind of holds true when if you're breaking down the barriers of what is like a sexual erogenous zone or whatever, if you're going to break down those barriers of what that is, people aren't going to get desensitized to it in that way. If anything, they're going to see it as more of an excuse to not care about it. Like that's kind
okay.
of how
Okay.
I.
I don't agree. Porn is something we watch, like it is meant to, we watch porn because we're repressed. Like we watch like extreme porn, like violent porn. People that watch violent porn, like this might be bullshit. Like a theory that makes sense that might be bullshit. Could be that like your people with a very complacent life are more likely to look at violent porn because there's no violence happening in their life, like violence and in a not like just physical violence. There's nothing is happening. So they need some more crazy, like out there porn. That's a theory that could happen for somebody. Maybe it's not the case for everybody. That makes sense. But so porn is us exploring the like secret things that like we don't get to see every day. But if we saw tits every day, all women you see have tits, their tits out, and it's like, there's nothing special about this. Like,
why would it be special to touch a boob then?
I really don't think it is too special to touch a boob. But
then why would it be a crime then?
It's special in that you are being intimate with like you're like what like we don't like people with foot fetishes don't walk around like kissing the floor or wherever women step. They don't go up and like start massaging women's feet like when they're standing in line.
Yeah, but it would make you think, if you knew someone had a foot fetish, it would make you think a little bit differently about your feet. Like if they touched your feet or they mentioned something about your feet or whatever.
Sure.
Like you'd probably be a bit more conscientious of that, right?
Sure. But that's not, I'm not disagreeing with that. I just think that women having their shirts off won't make people suddenly feel like they have like consent to touch their boobs, because if it's completely normal for women to not be wearing their shirts, it's like, well, like okay, well, I see you have boobs, like that doesn't mean I can touch them. I just don't think that.
Well, I mean, I already see it as it is right now. Like people are wearing clothes and people still feel entitled to grope people if they perceive the way that they're dressed to be like kind of sexualized in some way.
Yes, but
I'm not saying that's right.
But what I'm saying is, yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I might be interrupting you too much, but
no, it's okay.
What I'm saying is, there are people that think that when women dress more slutty, that it gives them consent to grope them, which isn't true. But if all women didn't wear shirts all the time, like we made it illegal, they're just not allowed to wear shirts. Okay, no woman is ever wearing a shirt. Then it wouldn't be them dressing slutty. It would just be another fucking woman.
But I feel like we're battling against like millions of years of evolution and the sexual instinct, which is an instinct. It's not like you're not just deciding if you're aroused or not. It's like an instinctual thing. This is why people get turned on when they get raped. Like they can get wet or whatever, or people can get hard, even if they don't want to be, if they're refusing it. It's because it's a natural part of the body to respond sexually to things. And I think women's breasts are a part of that. And in fact, I think there's even studies done on women's breasts when they're touched and stuff like that it does turn them on. It is a sexual part of their body, generally speaking. They do perceive it that way.
I don't think it's different for men and women's nipples. There's both. In fact, men's nipples are usually smaller because men's breasts don't grow, but there's the same amount of nerves. So I think men's nipples are actually technically much more sensitive. So they're more erogenous even. It's just a cultural thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, to be fair, like, hey, I'm not going to fucking turn around and say, no, I don't want to see all these boobs, okay? Like, fine. If you want to get all your boobs out, get your boobs out. But at the end of the day, I do think, I worry about the slippery slope that may happen from that. Like, I don't know if it would result in what you think it might result in.
So, do you think if you grew up in like a nudist family, that you'd be more likely to like fuck your parents?
I think it might be more likely that they might fuck you.
Okay, well, all parents see their kids naked.
Yes, but okay, I've seen my parents naked when I was a kid, but these are like chance times where they're coming out of the bath. There's like the bathroom or whatever, or I walk in on them when they're getting changed by mistake or something like that, right? These are like faux pas, normal family things that happen. But parading yourself around naked all the time, and you're with your husband or your partner, and you're kissing and cuddling or whatever in front of them, and you're naked, I just think it kind of adds a bit of a weird element to the situation. Like that's kind of like that's what I mean by like kind of breaking down the boundaries. Like it's kind of
I don't love. Okay, I agree that clothes serve as a boundary between us and our sexuality in culture that we live in. They do that functionally. but I don't think that that's inherent to us. I think we've chosen to make that a boundary. And so if you
Why?
have, but if you wait, hold on. So if you have people that walk around naked within our culture, that will be that boundary will have been dissolved. So that we will see them more sexually because of the culture we live in. But I don't. I think, and so a solution to us needing to, and we need to have boundaries around our sexuality if we want to be able to consent to sex and stuff. We need to have boundaries so you don't fucking rape me. So, the way world we live in, one of our solutions to those boundaries is clothes. But I don't think I think we should actually respect people's personal boundaries, and I don't think we need clothes to do that. And it's a crutch. And by using clothes, what you're really doing is you're just hiding people's bodies. And you're saying like, well, if I see your body and I get horny, then you can't really, who knows what's going to happen. But I think that we're capable of having the self-control to like even if like seeing women's boobs like makes you horny, like that doesn't actually give you consent. And I think that we're just capable of that level of, because like I said, like people with foot fetishes don't actually, like, maybe you'll think of them different. Like if you have your tits out and someone really likes tits, you're going to be like, oh, of course you like tits. But it's not, it doesn't mean that you should expect them to be groping you. You should expect them not to grope you. It's like,
yeah, you can expect people not to do all kinds of things. I expect people not to punch me in the face, but that doesn't stop people from fighting all the time, does it? It's just, to me, it's like when, I don't know. I just personally, to me, I think that clothes serve a purpose that is valid. I think if you break down that boundary, it could actually end up being worse for women in that respect. That's just my point of view on it. We can't really test it unless we start a nudist commune or some shit. But like, I don't personally, I just don't see it going that way. Maybe I have personal reasons for that. I don't know. I do have personal reasons that I'm not going to go into right now. But like, I just don't see it going that way personally. That's just my point of view.
I see it.
But maybe I also recognize that you think it would. We're just gonna have to agree to disagree.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I'm naive. Whatever.
I don't know if it's about naivety exactly. It's just more that like, I don't know, man. I guess it is definitely. I'm running off a lot of personal experience here, rather than some kind of scientific study. This is more like just gut instinct kind of stuff. But like, people break people's boundaries all the fucking time, and we already have clothes and stuff. I think if you get rid of clothes, like you're breaking down boundaries even more, to the point where I think that the people just wouldn't even care anymore. Like I think that's kind of what I'm saying.
I think that bathrooms, like, there's just like, ooh, what goes on in the woman's bathroom? Ooh, like, because like you don't ever go in there. But like if we just had like same-sex bathrooms, it'd be like, there would be like more of a risk of like sexual assault. So we need to have a society where we protect people from sexual assault so that doesn't happen. But also it would dissolve the mystique around like everybody fucking goes and they sits on the toilet and then like fucking shit and piss and everybody fucking does it. And there's no like ooh anymore. It's just like, oh, And I feel like if all women had their tits out, it would stop being ooh and it would be just like, oh.
Yeah, I can see your reasoning. I just can't agree to it. I just don't think it would go that way. And as unisex toilets became a bit of a trend in the UK in about like 2010 to 2012, 13 for a while. But then they really fell out of fashion because of the spike of sexual assaults in those kinds of bathrooms and stuff. So I think people don't need to lose the mystique around boobs. They can see boobs on the internet all day long. I don't think it's really about that.
That doesn't make them lose the mystique. The mystique happens because you're doing in real life.
But you're not really doing. You're just seeing them.
Yeah, but you don't just see them in real life. You only see them when you go on your private computer and you make sure the door's closed and yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be even more awkward when there's loads of guys walking around with huge boners and shit, right?
No, it should be fine. Should be fine.
I don't know, man. I don't know, but I mean, fair enough. You think what you think. I don't hate you for your opinion on it. Like, it's just, I just don't know if I can agree with it. That's all. Like, it's just is what it is. I don't know if anyone's saying anything about this discussion.
They're saying something. They said you can go topless in New York City and it's legal. No one does it. Interesting. They should start doing it. With a bodyguard.
See, that's the caveat, isn't it? That's the caveat, because you're kind of acknowledging that maybe some shit might go down.
Well, I know I do. I think there would be some growing pains to go to the world I'm talking about. That's pretty
But it's
much
a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Hey, if you get raped because of this, that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Saying that.
To desensitize people from boobs. This is the Lord Farquaad shit.
If we do that kind of shit, we need to, like, if we're making these kind of changes, we don't just make them willy-nilly. Like, first of all, we'd have to get all women on board with doing that, which is they wouldn't, clearly.
Of course, yeah.
So, like, really, there's not really much, like, unless we actually made it illegal for women to wear shirts or something. That's why I said that in the hypothetical earlier, because, like, women actually wouldn't just go, and there's reasons to wear, like, sports bras and stuff, like for jogging and like in being athletic. So like it just,
you don't want to fucking weapon you in the face.
Yeah,
shit,
exactly. It's just easier. But but there would be growing pains. I wouldn't want to just make a change in society like that without, other changes too.
Sure. Okay, well, I don't know. I guess there's not much more to say, but it's been great having you on, man. It's been great speaking to you. I've been wanting to speak to you for a long time.
Yeah, I like speaking to you. You're good at talking.
Thank you. It's probably one of the only good things one of the only things I am good at, if I could actually speak. But yes. But yeah, thank you very much. And we'll leave it off there. But yeah, go and subscribe to Smeth. Subscribe to me. Do all the things that people do. Do all those things that people say to do. I don't really care to promote myself too much, but whatever. Do it.
All right.
All right, thanks a lot, guys.
You're welcome. Nice talking. All right, that's it for that. What is this? Incel? You spelled incel wrong. It's got a C, not an S. Incel. Anyway, have a good night or have a good day. Since you're going out, why don't you snort some crystal meth to get your day going? Have a good day.